Linder's professional programs are short, concentrated bursts of in-person classes in a cohort model where participants can earn micro-credentials, making them different from the formal degree or certificate programs offered by the college. These immersive learning experiences are open to business professionals at every stage in their career across all industries. My name is Grant Freaking, Manager of College Communications and Marketing at the Carl H. Lindner College of Business. To learn more about Linder's professional programs, I'm joined by Dr. Scott Dust, an Associate Professor of Management and the Senior Director of Lindner Professional Programs. Welcome to Bearcats Mean Business, Scott Dust.
Thanks, Grant. Excited to be here. Excited for the conversation.
All right, Scott, I've supplied listeners with a brief snapshot of Lindner Professional Programs. Let's discuss the full picture. What other details can you offer us right off the bat?
Sure. Well, professional programs, think of them as non-degree offerings. And typically, they fall within one of two categories, at least currently. One being leadership development in particular is one that there's huge demand. People constantly are wanting some way to upskill or reskill in terms of leadership development, whether that's negotiating, teams, organizational change, any type of work type dynamics from a social science perspective. And then also all of the general business management topics you can think of. So operations, finance, accounting, data analytics, all of our majors essentially that we have in the business school. People want to know that language very quickly, and they want to know the details of specific tools or frameworks that they can apply immediately for all the different business subjects. And those tend to be the big two of what primarily people are interested in for professional programs. And these are more, like you said, these quick burst type of modules. Think of it as being anywhere from a 3-hour module to a all-day module of potentially 6 to 8 hours. And sometimes they might be spread out or 3 days in a row, or it might be every week or every other week for a certain amount of time. And that way people can still be working, but get this really specific knowledge for things that they're interested in immediately, right away, for a custom topic that makes the most sense for them. And also it's important to recognize that you can do professional programs as an open enrollment, meaning you can be anybody from the public that's interested in a certain course or a specific program and sign up yourself, or maybe even get reimbursed by your employer, all of it or a portion of it. And then the other is to get a custom program where an organization is saying, hey, we're going to send this entire cohort of however many, 20, 40, 60 people to get trained on a specific collection of some of those module topics of interest.
Right. And as the head of Linder's Professional Programs development here, why is the college focusing on them? Aside from the reasons that you just stated, what sort of philosophy are you taking in building up Linder's Professional Programs?
Yeah, great question. So one way to think of it is this is really important for Lindner for three interconnected reasons. Number one, the community counts on us to be the experts in these areas that are going to allow them to upskill or reskill in a way that's going to keep them competitive. So, graduate education is a good outlet for that. But there is also an opportunity to get some of these smaller and arguably more specific topics where I need this today, right? I need to be able to go to this training or this workshop on a Friday and be able to apply it on a Monday. And so that is really important for our community. We have the people here at Lindner that are the best of the best at whatever their subject matter expertise is. And we should be offering this to the community in as many different formats as we can. And non-professional programs is a good way to do that. In addition to that, this is a really good way to diversify all the ways that we're interacting with our community, whether it's undergraduate, graduate, non-degree, whether it's online or hybrid or face-to-face. There's so many different ways that we can get in contact with the people that we want to serve. And then finally is also from a faculty engagement standpoint, right? Or whether it's an instructor or adjunct or just anybody in our UC community, they love this stuff. And they're the experts in this stuff. Why not give them an outlet for doing something that they're passionate about and excited about beyond just the traditional confines of an academic approach? But so that's, I think, why it's important. And then in terms of philosophy, I also think it's important to point out that the whole approach to learning and training and development, it is moving very quickly towards not only being experiential learning, which Lindner takes, of course, very seriously, and we talk about that all the time, and that's really the core of who we are in terms of education.
Yep.
But it's also making sure that you can do it quickly and in a cost-affordable manner and have it personalized or customized to your specific situation. And what that means is that when you get a custom program, for example, being able to put it into the language of your industry or your job, to have someone that can have a conversation where they can present their issue that they're having right now and they want solved when they go back to work on Monday, and have that level and depth within the conversation is hard to come by. And so that's why it can be really unique in terms of that opportunity for growth and development, right? It's customized, personalized, it's in the moment, and it's digestible, something that you can use. But then another reason this is so important that also aligns with this philosophy is the future of the industry. Higher education is inevitably going to change. Every industry changes over time. So if you're not adjusting and adapting and trying to figure out what's next, you're going to get left behind. And if you really look at some, what I would call peer industries, look at the music industry, look at the movie industry, look at the news industry,
Interesting.
and how some of those have developed over time, right? They become less about a big bulk option of take it or leave it. They've started to be put into smaller pieces that are available in a way that's easy to access, in a way that is quicker to access, in a way that you can find exactly what you need when you need it. And higher education needs to do the same in terms of making sure that we have all of these opportunities for our customers and our clients to learn, but do it in a way that is more, I would say, futuristic.
Right. So two big things to attraction, or the subject matter expertise and the flexibility. That's what people are going after, to recap. Briefly.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The pandemic initiated many shifts in workplace thinking to tie this back into like more holistic worldview, I guess.
Yeah.
How does the realm, if you will, of non-degree offerings fit into this? How does it fit into this for, I guess, in a general sense and also for a lender sense here?
Yeah, and I think when the pandemic hit, there was inevitably the need to adjust and make things more digital and offer things online, and people very quickly figured out how to use all the technology and the tools that were available to communicate and to help people learn and understand things. And that was great. I mean, in a way, it kind of put into fast forward all the things that inevitably probably would have happened.
Yeah.
But instead of it happening over a matter of 10 years, it happened over a matter of 10 months.
Right.
And so, in a way, that forced us to be able to use technology in a way that was more integrated into our learning and training and development. So that's one component of it. And I think that is something that definitely with Lindner Professional Programs, we're taking very seriously for figuring out how can we leverage some of those best practices to make sure that all of the things that we do in terms of learning, experiential learning, et cetera, are taking advantage of those best practices for learning in this digital world. In addition to that, there's been what feels like this evolution of we are all in on remote. We're all in on virtual. In essence, there's pros and cons to anything, but in that situation, people are losing some of the things that they had previously when it was more of a live in-person environment. And the trends that I'm seeing in leadership and team development and organizational research at large is that now they're starting to come back the other direction.
They miss the connections, don't they?
They miss the connections. They miss some of the water cooler chit chat. People miss the opportunity to learn from people, build the trust from the people that they want to learn from.
Yep.
And there is a lot of interest in coming back to learn together in a in-person environment. So sure, you can do the more maintenance-oriented type of work virtually, but when it comes to training and learning, a lot of people want to do it live in person with other people, whether that is with their organizational constituents or externally on their own. And so I think that is you're starting to see even more demand because of that. People really want that connection and to learn live. But also, it's important to recognize that we need to embed this sense of hybrid or high flex into all of our in-person environments. Now, the expectation is if you're going to host something live, there's an opportunity for people to also view it virtually if they need to, if circumstances just evolve to the point where, hey, I just can't make it, and I on the fly need to know that there's a resource available for me to do that.
Or to purely meet accessibility concerns too.
That's exactly right? That's now the new mentality. So those are two big ones. I think a third, and actually some of my research gets into this as well, is that the pandemic really, for better or worse, messed with people's heads. And there are theories that help recognize why this happens. One of them's got a funny title called terror management theory. And this recognition that we're all in this life that is not infinite, and that we need to recognize that however we spend our time, we need to do it purposefully. And so what the pandemic caused, and the management research is showing this over and over, is that people are starting to actually look for more types of work that are more meaningful, more satisfying, things that align with their values. It really caused people to do this little bit of a gut check here on, is this what I want to do forever?
Right, yeah.
And so interestingly, you're seeing tons of people come back and say, I'm looking for something a little bit different. I want to be more in tune with what my skill set is. I want to figure out how to parlay this experience into a new experience. So they're all starting to think more in those terms, which dovetails nicely into our mentality. Hey, we're here to help. We're here to upskill and reskill so that you can find that match. So in a way, the pandemic, I think, has had a huge effect on professional programs.
Right. Scott, your research touches on leadership and team development, something you just mentioned. How do these shifts in non-degree offerings fit into those buckets?
Sure. So yeah, my research background is in leadership and team development at large. I like to say a lot of my research is just evaluating and creating interventions to help people play nice in the organizational sandbox, because people are complicated, and inevitably it's kind of funny because when I have undergraduates who take some of my classes like Introduction to Management, MGMT 3080, you might find some people that are kind of like, oh, this is common sense, or I can figure this out on my own. This isn't as challenging maybe as one of my quantitative classes. And every time they come back after they graduate and they say, you know what? Yeah, people is the hard part of my work. It is not the X's.
They haven't been in the real world yet. They don't know.
That's right. So it never fails. Like that's what we focus on even more when we start getting into, the MBA level and beyond. But those adult learners start to recognize how important those factors really are. And that also, it's even more complicated because there's no perfect answer. So, Dean Lewis talked about both and thinking. That's not an easy formula to apply where you say, oh, here's the decision tree. You go here and then you go here. It takes a level of self-regulation and self-awareness and contextualization that is really heady.
Just overall effort, yeah.
That's right. And so to be able to give people those experiences on their own terms, when they're ready, and in a way that, again, is contextualized for your business, for your industry, with your peers in a custom program, you really see the growth. And the research that I've done also is about what works and what doesn't work for those leadership and team development interventions. Well, there's some items that can really increase the odds of it being successful. And number one is that it can't just be a one and done experience where they call it the backseat effect, right? Where you come in and you maybe do this assessment and you learn about something and it's entertaining and it's fun in the moment, and then you just forget about it, a week later. You never go back to it. The training that we're doing in professional programs really needs to force people to engage in regular self-reflection. So what did you learn? Did you learn that language of that specific topic? Did you apply it to your own situation? Were you then forced through a prompt or through an exercise to talk with a manager or a peer about how that actually resonates for your situation that you're in today? and then come back and talk about it with a coach or a consultant or a facilitator that's running your program. It's that level of personalization that's really necessary to see an increase in what we would call self-regulation or behavior change. So the whole model is self-awareness, great, that's fine. But self-awareness does nothing unless it leads to self-regulation. And to do that really takes a proactive, thoughtful approach to how you're designing the overall professional program. So we really try and bake that into everything we do.
All right, let's talk about some examples of custom offerings from Lindner Professional Programs that can help people achieve some of those goals, or at least strive in those upward arrows that we can hopefully get them on.
Yeah, absolutely. So one example would be Great American. Obviously, Lindner is a big part of our ecosystem, and Great American is a wonderful partner on in a variety of different ways. Well, Great American actually was working with 1819 on a few different initiatives in the innovation and innovation development space. And one thing that they realized was that people stuck around longer and were more invested and were better contributors when they were mentored and or were better at mentoring. And so they wanted to create a program, a custom program that would teach individuals how to be a great mentor and how to be a great mentee. And so they hand-selected a group of, I think it was maybe 15 or so mentors and 15 or so mentees. And we went through this whole multi-month program together that had multiple different intervention types. We had a kickoff where everybody got together. There were exercises that were asynchronous in between. There was follow-up events. There was check-in events. Some were virtual, some were face-to-face. And throughout this entire experience, we made sure that they were paired up with somebody that was going to be a match for them. So we went through this whole essentially speed dating matchmaking process to find them.
Thinking of, yeah.
It literally was, right? They stood up next to each other and got to talk to each other for 3 minutes apiece. It was a riot. And interestingly, everybody got somebody that they wanted to be paired with. It was like in their top 3 in terms of overlapping interests.
Okay.
And we gave them the frameworks for what does a good mentor-mentee relationship look like in general. We gave them the tools, we gave them the frameworks, and then we also split them out and did subgroups where we looked at all the mentors and what are the best practices and mentees and best practices. And then we were able to be that third party behind the scenes to help kind of encourage them and figure out what to do. And so the overall effect is it was, number one, they learned how to be better mentors and mentees, but it also led to this really interesting side effect, was that they really felt like a cohort, where now the mentees now want to start mentoring the next level down. And the mentors want to come back and give presentations to say, here's what we did that really worked. So it ended up not just being about learning, it was also about creating a sense of community. And Warren Bennis Leadership Institute through Lindner College of Business was a big part of that. And Donna Crobot-Mason and her team do wonderful work in being able to talk through how to be a better manager, mentor, coach, and leader. And we're a big help in putting that together. Another example is Valvoline. We're talking with Valvoline leaders now, and they are in some interesting times right now. So Valvoline is a Lexington-based company, but also has some presence here in Cincinnati. They were acquired by Aramco, which is a Saudi-owned company. And so you can kind of just look at the difference in these two companies and their culture and their both culturally and just socially, and see the writing on the wall. This is going to be an interesting transition. And so they originally started the conversation saying, like, how can we really upskill our leaders to get prepared for the changes that we're probably going to see structurally, socially, culturally, and knowing also that anytime you get in an acquisition, there's going to be lots of change. And so what can we do to upskill them to prepare them for that? And so we've done a custom program across 10 different modules. We've done everything from cultural competence to team collaboration. We had them climb Mount Everest together through a simulation through Harvard Business Publishing that we love doing. They did Marianne Lewis's Both And Thinking. They're doing org change, negotiations, and a handful of other things. So finding out, hey, what's the problem? What do you picture these leaders needing to deal with over the next couple of years. Let's work backwards and go through our pretty long list of modules or offerings that we can customize for this specific group, and then have conversations also at the level of, what do you want us to know about these people, about their demographic, about the history? Like, getting at that level of understanding of a client is our sweet spot. We want to hear the story, right? We're not just here to just dole out more modules. We really want to understand it in a way that can help them learn as much as possible.
And help the future clients as well build better modules. Now, what are some examples of what you refer to as open enrollment offerings? What are those about?
Yeah, so again, for the open enrollment offerings, those are an individual can sign up and go directly to what's called Skills at UC, which is our one-stop shop to be able to see all of the non-degree offerings across all of the University of Cincinnati and register, pay, and that is the portal for everything about signing up for all those different classes. Some that are currently available, for example, through Lindner Professional Programs, is our LevelUp Leadership Program. The LevelUp Leadership Program, so it's a Lindner offering through Warren Bennis Leadership Institute as well, where there are 12 modules, and each day on a Friday, starting in late January, in the morning you'll do one module, then you do lunch, and then in the afternoon you'll do your second module. And so we space that out one to be every 2 weeks on a Friday. And they can start enrolling for this open enrollment program, and they'll come face-to-face at Lindner and take courses with people from all over the city and be able to learn from them as well. Again, getting at that sense of community, which is really important.
And also,
right?
in this case, interdisciplinary, as it reflects also Lindner, right. Warren Bennis, and other stakeholders as well.
That's right. Absolutely. So those are big. And then we also have lots of Center for Business Analytics offerings. The Center for Business Analytics right now is in high demand, to say the least. People really want to upskill, whether it's what the heck is AI and what do I do with it, to how do I use Python, to data analytics basics 101, whether it's using a certain tool or different theories, et cetera. So they have dozens and dozens of offerings that are really helpful. And so organizations interested in getting some of those trainings can actually become members if they're not already, where they get access to a certain number of trainings, as well as specific projects that Center for Business Analytics personnel can offer for those members, or individuals can sign up for trainings as well on a one-by-one basis. And then there's a few others that are in the works that we're pretty excited about. Doing human capital analytics, compensation, marketing, branding yourself. There's also a few in the works that are more about finance, operations, project management. We're pretty much hitting them all. And so Skills at UC will eventually have all these offerings so that people can just sign up as needed. They can look and see when the dates are and the times are, and or even make requests for, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Do you have anything similar to this? And I think Skills at UC can have a conversation about, hey, here's our recommendations, or here's when things are coming online.
Right. My thanks to Scott Dust for appearing on Bearcats Mean Business. Learn more about Lindner's professional programs by visiting business.uc.edu/about/professional-programs, or by clicking the link in this episode's description. Thanks for tuning in. Go Bearcats.